JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Thursday, August 14th, 9:08 a.m. This fine morning. Talk quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from the S&P futures in the red. Down about 0.5% here. Let's see. Uh, 4.4%. After PPI data, right? I mean, all the eyes were on Tuesday's CPI data, which was mixed, right? And then PPI data this morning, it was substantially higher than expectations, nearly a 1% increase versus an estimate of 0%, right? And the thing with the PPI, it's kind of like it's a more forward-looking number, right? Usually you see the inflation, the CPI number impacts later down the line. It doesn't encompass imports and all that fun stuff, but that interesting stuff. And now you already see the headlines, hottest since in 3 years. You know, despite that, the market's still pricing in pretty much 100% probability of a rate cut come September. So, I mean, it's good and bad, right? So, I mean, the good is, if you're bullish to market and you want cut rates to come down so that it bodes well for more market gains. Okay, this is bullish, right? So that kind of uh expedites or confirms that that's probably going to continue. The chatter, the clamor, the pushing on Powell to cut rates, it's going to continue, right? It's going to be like, you got to cut rates. But at the same token, like, cutting rates just it's going to create easy money, right? Easy money makes prices go up. Prices inflation. So if there's inflation is showing up, it's gonna make it worse, right? So you just hope this all works out for the better. Uh, Markets at levels not seen since Tuesday, so today's Thursday. You take everything with a grain of salt. Uh, but here's another opportunity for the bears to come in, especially markets at all-time highs. So it'll be an interesting session, right? 638 is kind of the spot I'll be watching on the SPY, where I think if we can't hold that, I'll be getting some put positions, whether it be Broadcom, AMD puts, or on the flip side, SQQQ calls. I'm not saying, I always say I'm not getting my bear suit on. I'm not bearish per se, but I am open to the possibility. Hey, we might pull here. 9 consecutive sessions on the SPY of higher highs and higher lows. That's impressive, right? But once we break that uptrend, you have to think maybe there's a possibility to get back into 620s. I mean 628. So my range this week is 628, 646. Ironically enough, where did we get yesterday? 646. I'm hoping we don't get down to 628 by tomorrow. We do get retail sales data tomorrow, consumer confidence. So don't want to see some kind of nasty retail sales number. I don't really care about the consumer confidence because those have all been all survey data, which to me, it's been up and down since February, March. Uh, we'll see. Frustrating today, right? I mean, I always say always be hedging, but sometimes always be closing works too. That's why it's important to kind of cover costs, take profits when you can, because you never know, right? I mean, heck, we could have been inline expectations for the PPI and markets could have soared. I mean, but nothing's guaranteed. So that's kind of what I'll be watching here today. You take a look at some of the other things that you watch, like yields, and uh, yields are up. They're kind of flat right now. The U.S. dollar. Um, and then U.S. dollar stronger, so, well, up 0.2%. It was down yesterday. And then the other thing is you watch the VIX. It's at 15. And Monday, when the markets were kind of flat and then sold off in the afternoon, the VIX was up, right? It was up like 5-6%. And then, hit multi-month lows or 2025 lows, 14 and change yesterday. And here we are back at 15. 15 is like historical levels. So nothing crazy. And we're still at all-time highs. So it'd be impressive. If markets find a bid here and bounce, you can't rule it out. I mean, do I think that's the most likely scenario? I probably not. Maybe some chop between 642 and 644. That'd be ideal. The less ideal scenario is a break under 640 and then selling after the open all the way down to 630, 638 break, right? So hopefully that doesn't happen, but I'm open to a possibility. Also, take a look at small caps this week, right? S&P was up 1.2% on a week, so we have still plenty of gains for the week, even with the futures where they're pointing. If we open right now where the futures are, we're still up nearly 0.8%. Small caps are up almost 5% on the week. So you see right after that data came out, boom, small caps are down over 1% in a flash, like a blink of an eye. Uh, Hopefully those gains, those losses, hopefully that's it for today. If not, it's like all caps just can't catch a break. But hopefully they do. All right. That's kind of overall market. So now just quick on individual names. Yesterday afternoon I was watching United Healthcare, and then into the night it was all the way up at 278 in the after-hours session overnight. Here it is. It's down at 273, still green, but a great session yesterday. The open at like 263, and then off to the races by 10 o'clock was 272. used to move to close some of my calls out. Some more of them, 400 and 600% held the rest. I was thinking they were going to open, $6 plus because it was sitting at 276 in the pre-market. Which would be 1,400% or so, 1,350, depending on what the premiums are too. And then sure enough, we get the pull here. I'm probably just going to close them all out, the rest out at the open, and then revisit. You look at a weekly chart, and first it's up nearly 9% this week. If this is a start of a multi-week bounce, it's probably going to 325. I think there might be other opportunities to be able to add some strikes. So I'll just be patient there. But what a monster! Why don't I have this here? Excuse me. The other thing, 289 is the 50-day moving average, so another key spot. So if we'll see what happens here today. I'll probably lock the rest out of the weeklies at the open, and then see if I can find some more strikes depending on what it does here. If it looks like the bounce is going to continue, I'll look to get some strikes. If it breaks under 270, I'll probably be patient, and then maybe look for some strikes to play for move over 300 in the coming weeks. That's UNH. Lemonade, another name, was 55, 56 in the pre-market yesterday, just spiked right out of the open all the way up near 59. Then it tested 60. Closed some more of my weekly strikes out for over 500%. I held the rest just because it's one of those names, it's volatile, right? So it can be 65 today, wouldn't surprise me. It can be 55 today, wouldn't surprise me. Was hanging around 59 this morning before the data came out, and then sure enough, it's right here, 57.60. I'll be quick, depending on what the premiums are. I might lock the rest of those in and revisit. Doesn't make sense, just in case we do get a pull. But can't rule out just continuation of yesterday. So I'll be quick on that one. LULU, staring at the calls. Monday I got them was 192, goes all the way down to 185, hits 52-week lows. Then Tuesday rallies from 186 to the 190s, and I was staring at those 202.50s. They were 22 cents, and then sure enough, continuation yesterday, over $200. Was able to lock some of my 205s in for 100% of cover costs. I went and got some 215s, and then within a couple hours, I was able to close those out for 100% to cover costs. So I'm riding freebie on the LULU strikes. Looking great. It was 205 overnight, right? I was like, oh, my calls are in the money. It's going to be a great morning. And then we have this data out. So it's $8 off those levels. Still like to set up here. So we'll see what the 205 premiums are. I'll probably just hold them just because if we do get a bounce, maybe it bounces back over 200 into the noon hour, and then we have tomorrow. Another name, if this is United Healthcare day number 2 of the bounce, right? If you look at United Health, this is like when United Healthcare was in the 250s. So, well, I'm not saying it apples for apples here, but if this is just the first 2 days of the bounce of LULU, I could see it trading into 220 next week. So on that premise, I'll just continue to hold those strikes to next week as well. And then IIPR rallied yesterday. Again, no news, no catalyst. It's just, on the heels of possible headwinds being removed in that sector, and a name that's just been completely destroyed over the last 6 to 12 months. I used some of the move to close out some of my October strikes for 100%. And then within another half hour or so, the calls were up 200%. I held them. It was up near 55 at the open. Now, well, pre-market. And then we had the data come out. I pulled it down. I'll just hold them. I was looking for other strikes. I hopefully can find support. 53.96 is its 50-day moving average. It looks like it's going to gap below that. I'll just continue to hold those because I think if there's any updates in the next 2 weeks or so in the marijuana space, I think that's the next leg for the run. Same with CGC. CGC all the way down to 142 after the data, and now it's bouncing around here 150. And those January strikes, I put on the watch that I was talking about the last couple of days. It's going to seem like a gift if there's continued momentum in these names, and at some point, if they catch fire, it's 20 cents for January strikes are going to be there'll be a couple dollars if not more. So I'll just continue to hold those. And then some other names, a line at the open yesterday. I was watching. I'm like, I did, yesterday I put on the watch list. It felt like it was going to be a harvest day, right? And which turned out, like, locked a lot of positions in. I didn't want to be adding too much more risk. I'm still watching the line. So, if the market finds footing, it looks like it's going to bounce. Maybe I'll get some lottos there. Same with Reddit, right? Reddit disappointing. I wouldn't even say disappointing, right? I had the 240 calls for this week. Last week, I got them at like 150. And then it's like it moves and it's been up. You take a look at this chart, monster moving. You think, wow, any calls that you got, which should be up substantial, at the 240 calls. And then yesterday was the first day they really started to gain premium. So you would have had to hold through all the risks, the ups and downs, just to get, they might be up close to 100%. So, I'll be watching today. It's dipping here. All-time high breakouts. I think it's 235 was yesterday. So if it has continuation today, maybe I'll look for some allows play for a move to 245 or so. And then last but not least, I wouldn't say last but not least, VKTX, they added the October chain finally. So now there's October strikes, and they went and added 60 strikes starting next week. I wish they added 60, 65, and 70s, but they didn't. So the premium is still going to be expensive on a risk reward basis for at least for how I trade. So at some point, I'll lock the August in, and maybe I'll get some October strikes. I'll probably go closer just because I don't want to stare at it if it's disappointing data. Trying to think of some of the other names. Edit, nice day yesterday. I still have those January strikes. I already locked some of those in to cover costs. And then I've just been sitting on it. And here it was looking great yesterday, 317. 330 is the big spot. So if we can get over that, I think it's off to the races. And that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back rock and roll.